SOLAS Chapter 11-1 focuses on special measures to enhance maritime safety. Regulation 1. Authorization of recognized organizations. This regulation outlines the requirements for organizations that are authorized to carry out statutory surveys and inspections on behalf of flag states. IMO Resolution A.739-18. Criteria for authorization. Organizations must have adequate technical, managerial, and research capabilities. A formal written agreement between the administration and the organization is required. The agreement should include instructions for actions to be taken if a ship is found not fit to proceed to sea. The organization must be provided with all appropriate instruments of national law. The organization must maintain records to assist the administration in interpreting convention regulations. Regulation 2. Enhance surveys. It mandates additional survey requirements for certain vessels, particularly bulk carriers and oil tankers, ensuring they comply with the Enhanced Survey Program, ESP Code. Resolution A.744-18. 1. Purpose. To enhance the safety of bulk carriers and oil tankers by implementing a more thorough inspection program during surveys. 2. Enhanced inspections. The resolution outlines detailed inspection procedures to identify and address potential structural issues. 3. Documentation. Requires the maintenance of records of all inspections and any identified deficiencies, ensuring transparency and accountability. 4. Implementation. The guidelines are intended to be integrated into the existing survey and inspection processes for these types of vessels. Regulation 3. Ship Identification Number. This regulation requires all ships to display their International Maritime Organization (IMO) number prominently, facilitating better identification and tracking. IMO Resolution A.615. 1. Purpose. To assign a unique and permanent identification number to each ship for better tracking and identification. 2. Identification Number. The number consists of the letters IMO followed by a 7-digit number, e.g., IMO 8712345. Should be marked on the stern of the ship or on either side of the hull, amidships port and starboard, above the deepest assigned load line, or either side of the superstructure, port and starboard and other areas. 3. Permanence. The identification number remains unchanged throughout the ship's life, even if the ship changes flag, name, ownership, or type. 4. Documentation. The number must be inserted in the ship's certificates and permanently marked on the hull structure when appropriate. MSC/SOC 1142, MEPC/SOC 425. Regulation 4. Company and Registered Owner Identification Number. Similar to the Ship Identification Number, this regulation mandates that companies and registered owners must have unique identification numbers. IMO Resolution MSC 160-78. 1. Purpose. To assign a unique identification number to each company and registered owner of ships. 2. Identification Number. The number consists of 7 digits assigned by IHS Maritime, formerly known as Lloyd's Register Fairplay. 3. Permanence. The identification number remains unchanged throughout the life of the company or registered owner, even if there are changes in ownership or management. 4. Documentation. The number must be included in relevant documents and records, ensuring traceability and accountability. 5. Implementation. The scheme applies to companies and registered owners of ships of 100 gross tonnage and above, including fishing vessels, passenger ships, and mobile offshore drilling units. Regulation 5. Port State Control on Operational Requirements. This regulation allows port states to enforce operational requirements on vessels visiting their ports, enhancing safety compliance. IMO Resolution A.787-19. 1. Purpose. To establish guidelines for PSC inspections to verify compliance with international maritime conventions. 2. Scope. Applies to ships subject to SOLAS, MARPL 73/78, load lines, STCW, and tonnage conventions. 3. Procedures. Outlines the procedures for PSC officers to follow during inspections, including assessing the ship's condition and verifying compliance with safety and pollution prevention standards. 4. Implementation. encourages member states to implement these guidelines to improve the consistency and effectiveness of PSC inspections. 6. Continuous Synopsis Record, CSR. Every SOLAS ship must maintain a CSR, a document that provides a traceable history of the ship's particulars and ownership. IMO Resolution A.959/23. Purpose: to establish a standardized format for the CSR, which documents the history of a ship, including ownership, management, and operational details. Scope: applies to all ships subject to international maritime conventions. Format: the resolution specifies the format of the CSR, including the information to be included and the layout of the document. Maintenance: the CSR must be maintained throughout the life of the ship, with updates made as necessary to reflect changes in ownership, management, or other relevant details. Access: the CSR must be readily available for inspection by relevant authorities to verify compliance with international regulations. 7. Atmosphere Testing Instrument for Enclosed Spaces. Ships are required to carry portable atmosphere testing instruments to ensure safety in enclosed spaces, preventing incidents related to toxic atmospheres or oxygen deficiency. MSC.1/Circ 1477. Scope: applies to portable atmosphere testing instruments used to measure concentrations of oxygen, flammable gases or vapors, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon monoxide. Capabilities: instruments should be capable of remote sampling and detection without interference from the atmosphere or other characteristics of the intervening space. Self-test: upon activation, the instrument should perform a self-test to indicate that it is functioning correctly. Display: the instrument should clearly show which gas or vapor it is measuring. Calibration: suitable means must be provided for the calibration of these instruments. Enclosed spaces: this includes spaces such as cargo spaces, double bottoms, fuel tanks, ballast tanks, cargo pump rooms, cofferdams, chain lockers, void spaces, duct keels, interbarrier spaces, boilers, engine crankcases, engine scavenger receivers, sewage tanks, and adjacent connected spaces. Thank you for watching the video. For more marine topics, please subscribe CFIX channel. Please help us with your valuable feedback to improve the contents.